No, I'm good. Wow. What a beginning to a stream. Camera's all gone insane. And here we are. Dinner. Spaghetti on a Taco Tuesday. Double Harris. So, hello, crafters. Big D here. And we got a bit to talk about. Kinda. Commodore, good to see you, my friend. So, yeah. It was the weekend. Had my first official, I was in my very first official 40K tournament since the 90s. Only named 8-man tournament, came in second. Has me thinking about how to differently play my wolves. There's definitely and some ways to play my whole army different. And the Ben is here. And the Phoenix is here. So, yeah. Things I've learned about myself. Playing against higher competition with a little bit more, because I play friendly, I kind of play fast and loose, honestly. And playing in a competitive game, some things I've learned. I play very aggressively. And sometimes that works when you've got an army on their back foot and they're not sure how to deal with a super aggressive assault. You can knock them up for a lot of points really quickly. On the other hand, if they're a good army with a good defensive position, being aggressive can lose you a game. I apologize. We had dinner show up late tonight. No big. Need to get something in me. All right. So yeah. I play really aggressively, and I need to not play so aggressive when I'm playing competitively. It's a thing I've learned about myself. I'm constantly trying to go for the throat, and sometimes that exposes myself. I did it against the first fight I had was against some Death Watch, and that didn't go very well for him. We talked about it after the game about some things he could have done a little bit better placement. He didn't leave himself a lot of openings to try and counterpunch. I was able to lock down some of his troops really easy and then just pound him into the dirt. So that didn't go very well for him. My second match was against Imperial Guard with a lot of tanks, a lot of firepower. And turn one, I tried to rush him, and he shot half my army off the table. Easily, half my army was gone. I just happened to have a few units that were very survivable and could cut through tanks pretty easily. In the end, I had very little left, and he had nothing left. So I won a battle of attrition But I won it on my terms. I won it leaning on all of the objective markers except right near the end. So I outscored him horribly, even at the sacrifice of most of my units. So yeah, I didn't like the win, but it came. The score was a lot more lopsided than I thought it would be. The score was horribly lopsided, but it didn't feel that way. I mean, I ended the match. I had 4 figures on the table, 5 figures on the table, out of I want to say like a 45 to 50 figure army. So that was tough. Getting my Terminators blown off the table like they didn't matter was kind of tough to deal with. Last match was me against Harlequins. Harlequins are a hard match, just a tough match. You really kind of have to weather them and not give them openings. And even though I've played them quite a bit, I always fall for it. And the guy who plays them, Max, great guy, he is just a master of their shenanigans. So he beat me. He beat me again closer than the game was closer in points than it felt, but I don't think the win was ever in question. Wolves have a couple cheap and easy ways to score points. So taking the Wolves, I think it's called Warrior's Honor, as one of your objectives, one of your secondaries, where you can just basically, I charge for 2 units. Hey, I get 3 points. I'm charging every round with that army. I mean, there's just every round I'm charging with. So that wasn't hard to do at all. But yeah, so I learned a lot. The terrain I built really went over well. I'll have a video later this week, or maybe not this week, probably early next week, on all the terrain I built and the process I went through to build that much terrain in a short period of time, because I supplied all the terrain for the tournament, all 4 tables. If you didn't follow my Instagram, you saw the process. I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit further. And eventually I'm actually going to build a nice set and kind of go over the instructions for that as well. So that was pretty cool. I got to see a couple of the armies I haven't seen much of. Yeah, Commodore was in the tournament too. And yeah, I mean, Synergy's a big. Oh, Weather Pig, good to see you, buddy. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, Synergy is a big thing. I thought I saw it. I don't know the Imperial Fist that well. I tried to help Commodore with some of his list, and it sounded good to me. Some of it's counterpunch. Some of it's just synergies. Hello, Lady Dragon. I had no idea. I'm sorry, sweetie.
No, I guess I'll just play it first.
So yeah. So interesting. Lots of things to learn. One of the big things I learned is that I need to take more shooting units with my wolves. Wolves are great at melee, but they need some shooting support. So I need to kind of balance them back with some more shooting. And this was kind of a prep for a tournament that's going to be happening in June. A little higher stakes, bigger player base. Going to actually have a couple of the bigger names in the area playing. I don't think I'm going to take my wolves. I'm honestly thinking I'm going to use the next 3 to 4 weeks to tech up my Custodes list. And I think I'm going to take my Custodes. I think in the local meta and what people are playing, I think my Custodes will do better, honestly. The wolves did well, but I think if somebody's playing, one of the guys plays a very serious Blood Angels list, and if I understand right, his list runs 30 Sanguinary Guard. 30 Sanguinary Guard is a lot to deal with. A lot to deal with. That's like, I mean, that's 900 points of army, but that's 30 Sanguinary Guard. So I got to figure out how to take them off the table. And honestly, that looks like something a Custodes was going to do better. So, no, actually, that's the thing. Max and I, it's interesting. Max, the guy who plays his Harlequins, and he and I have a really good rapport. We're really trying to help each other out and teach each other tricks and how to be better players. And we're playing against each other back and forth a lot. And that's one of the things we're looking at. We're looking at like using the next few weeks to play 4 or 5 Custodes versus his Harlequins list and a couple different Elven lists he's got, because he's got some really nasty combo lists, and maybe try and figure something out. He's already seen some things on my Custodes list that he's like, I don't want to see that. That could really do some damage, because I'm not playing a typical Custodes list. I've got a couple of units that not are often taken, and it's not because they're not good. They're just not part of the people don't normally look at them the way I look at them. So I like to think I have an eye for units. My wolf list is very different than the wolf list I've seen in competition, and it did really great. So, yeah. So my Custodes list is something I got to tech against. And I've played my Custodes list against a high-end player that I know of. I played him a couple times. First time I won. Second time we had to call it a tie at round 3, but I don't think if we'd played 5, I honestly don't know if it would have stayed a tie. It's hard to say. We didn't play it, so I can't say for certain. I just know the way how much I had on the table, how much he had left on the table, and where I saw the fight going. So yeah, it's been kind of crazy. It was good, though. It was real good, though. Got to meet a bunch of new players. Got to talk shop with a group of people that I didn't know, which was actually really good. It's always good to see a community expand and grow and add new players in multiple areas. There's another big store. I shouldn't say big store. There's another club that's attached to a store that's halfway across town, and the people there are looking for fresh people to play against. So they want to come and play with us more. And there's a couple of us that have really talked about going there and playing more. So I think we're going to see some cross-pollination and see this community kind of expand, because one of their community leaders was talking with our community leaders, and we kind of, and I guess I'm seen as one of them because I'm trying to facilitate people playing, but there was a group of us that were talking about trying to get some cross play going and getting more people playing on a regular basis. And it's very promising. It's very promising. I also came to learn that apparently I wasn't aware of it, but apparently there's a huge thriving Age of Sigmar play group, like large competitive level Age of Sigmar play group here in the local area. And they're thriving and they're looking to add more people. So who knows? We might get some more cross-playing Age of Sigmar once I get a handle on an army. I still don't understand that game enough, and I kind of wanted to stay more casual with Age of Sigmar. I don't want to get all tech with it. I kind of want to just kind of play fantasy funness with that army. So we'll see. I got my D&D game this weekend, so no 40K for me this weekend. Although Max and I are talking about maybe getting together some point during the week next week. If not, we'll get together the following weekend and definitely get 2 or 3 games off in a weekend. He's Very excited. Max won the tournament. He's very excited to get some games in. Oh, no. No, I want Jesus right up there. I want him all in there. Blasphemy! Heresy! My son has apparently a game tonight, so he can't be down there at the table next to me. But glad at least he can poke his head in. Meatball. Definitely have some ideas I'm building. So that was my 40K weekend. And that's what's been on my bench. I've been teching a deck, teching an army, and building that terrain. So I really haven't been able to do much else. I can finally get and finish Commodore's terrain. Hopefully make a huge dent on it next week, over the next week, and start delivering some finished pieces to him. I've got another commission. Somebody was made to be aware that the Adeptus Mechanicus are getting their refreshes. They're going on pre-sale next weekend. So he immediately turned around and went, D, I need you to build me some Mechanicus. And I'm like, well, then you got to give me some Mechanicus. And so he gave me a bunch of Mechanicus to build for him. I got to say, I originally really, really wanted to play Mechanicus. There is a part of me that still really wants to play Mechanicus, and there's a part of me that really doesn't want to play Mechanicus now. There's lots of spindly bits all over these things. There's some cool-looking figures. They're an absolute... And they're not that hard to build, but they're an absolute pain. There's just all these little sticky outfits that I'm afraid I'm going to snap off and break off and bend off. And, oh, that would make me so crazy if they were my own figures. So I can be nice and safe with them, build them, put them in a safety box, deliver them back to their owner, and go, take your crap. I do, though, got to say, I'm almost done with it. I do love the look of their tank. Their tank is some crazy, and it's hollow, and it's funny, but it is a crazy looking thing. It's like an Edsel tank. It's weird. So I dig it. But again, there's just parts of this kit that are just super flimsy and need to be reglued. Yeah, there's parts of this kit that I'm not crazy about. I mean, it would be really cool for showpiece figures, honestly. I think they would look really great painted up at a master level. Yeah, I think Al would definitely, I think he would dig their aircraft, because their aircraft are very reminiscent of World War II bombers with Leonardo da Vinci side parts to them. They're just weird. Their tanks are very... I originally had people try to tell me that they were steampunk. No, they're a very diesel punk kind of vibe. And they have a very 50s, 40s and 50s diesel look to their stuff. I mean, the whole front end of their tank, it's just weird. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I really like the look of this stuff. It's very weird, though. I don't like their transport. I like it as a vehicle and the way it looks. I don't see transports working well for that army specifically. I don't think that works well for them. But, is what it is. But I'm building up a box of them and the Walker and a few other things. Again, they're creepy. They're creepy. Yeah, they'd be creepy. Little Hesperax, who they just released in a box set. I find it interesting. When they released the 2 new Elven leaders in plastic for Blood of the Phoenix, they waited 6 months, 7 months before they did their solo releases. Faith and Fury's been out a month. Lilith is already out in plastic. She goes on pre-sale this weekend. The new Mechanicus leader that they've been touting, they haven't released anything. He goes on pre-sale this weekend. The new Combat Patrol box, which looks like the old Start Collecting box plus Cataphrons. It looks like a great box. I mean, it definitely is worth buying if you're wanting to get into Mechanicus. Their rules look really good. Apparently at the Dallas GT, they were the only army that really gave the Drukhari any trouble other than other Drukhari. So I imagine we're going to be seeing a Mechanicus wave come in. I think that's the bigger topic to talk about, because we actually had a pretty long conversation about this over the course of the tournament on Saturday. Codex creep has always been real with GW. That's always been a thing. Codex creep has always been a thing for them. But this edition, it seems super prevalent. Like, the Marines and the Necrons came out, and the Marines, they've always been good. Well, I shouldn't say that. They've been good ever since they got their refresh 1.5 years ago. They've been good. They've been amazing in 9th. And only now that other armies are getting codexes are they starting to fall down the ranks a little bit. Necrons, which haven't been competitive in at least a decade, are in the right hands. Interesting, Commodore. I'll get to that. I think basically that has a lot to do with what happened in Dallas. I think, the Necrons, which haven't been a valid force in 10 years, came out really strong. They're still really powerful. They're hard to deal with. The break in between the end of 8th and 9th, Custodes and Death Guard, which were one of the last books to come out in the Psychic Awakening, were really powerful, but there were no tournaments because of COVID going on. Death Guard took a little bit of a hit. They're still really good. They actually took a step down when their codex got out for most of their stuff, although there's other things they're still pretty good with. I wouldn't call them an S-tier army anymore, which they were for a little bit, but they're not a garbage tier either. They're a nice mid-pack. They're a nice mid-pack army now. I'm having a personal hard time trying to figure out how to play them to their best advantage, so that's why I'm kind of stepping back from them and trying to play them competitively. I play them for fun, but if I'm looking at competitive, I don't know what to do with them right now. So, so I kind of step back from them. And I'm looking at the Wolves, and the Wolves are doing what I want them to do, but then the Wolves, Death Watch, and the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels came out. And other than Death Watch, like, all 3 of those individual non-codex compliant armies are pretty much top tier among the Marines. The only one that's really really showing any promise above them are certain really specific lists. There's a White Scars list that's running around that's running like a lot of bikes and a lot of speeders, and it's doing really well. The funny thing is I haven't seen any Dark Angels lists. I mean, you look at them, they should be really, really, really well with the amount of options they have, but nobody's playing them yet. I think people just, I don't know. I don't even know what to think because, I mean, they've got really good bikes. They've got really, I mean, the whole you can't wound me with 2s and 3s is just yikes. But they're still really powerful. I mean, I've seen them mop up on other Marine lists. They've got the 2 damage thing going. And now the Drukhari Codex has come out. And I've read the Codex and I've teched it up a little bit and I've looked at it and crap, they are powerful. I really think they're powerful. And I can see where they're powerful. And then the Dallas GT happened and it was an absolute murder fest for Drukhari. Drukhari just kind of jumped in the top place, stomped on everybody below them. One of the armies that was in top place was not a Drukhari army officially, but it was Drukhari and Harlequins, but it was mostly Drukhari. Taking advantage of the Drukhari's ability to just pound lots of fast units, fast, shooty, accurate units, and fly them all over the board, and just kind of swarm on a board, and then run away as soon as you put anything heavy in their face. But they're very glass candy. I think if you can, they don't have the invulse saves on their vehicles like the Drukhari do. I mean, not like the Harlequins do. So any amount of real heavy anti-armor, and you can knock them down a peg pretty quickly. But they've got some punchy stuff to coincide with that. So I don't know. I actually want to go back. I've only watched a little bit of it. I want to watch a couple more of the Drukhari fights to see how people are playing them, because the lists are just all over the place. It's crazy. But we're seeing that creep, and now the worry is that you're going to see this because with what they've shown off for the Adeptus Mechanicus so far, it's like the Mechanicus are going to be really, really powerful. And it's like, are we just going to, is this what we're going to see? Is this what the next 6 months of codexes is going to be? Because supposedly all the codexes are going to be out by the end of the year. At one point they were saying end of the summer, but I don't think anybody believed that. But they were saying all the codexes are supposed to be out by the end of the year. Are we just going to see each new codex just shifts the meta because they're that much better than the last? I mean, Adeptus Mechanicus are coming out and going on pre-sale next week. The Sisters of Battle, the Adeptus Sororitas, are coming out real soon. Orcs are coming out real soon. Those Primaris Orcs look powerful, but I mean, there's already grumblings about what are they going to do to the Orcs? I mean, are they going to just make it so Orcs just overall just get bigger and badder and better, and then suddenly now they're going to be the new Marine standard? I don't know that that's the case, but Orcs have pretty much been a swarm army for a long time to kind of turn them into a more elite army. And, and that's the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. I absolutely comment. Our new hotness is a big deal. And the Drukhari, that turret came out literally just soon enough that the Drukhari, nobody knew how to play against the Drukhari. And that's the whole thing. People saw what happened in Dallas. I mean, went, oh, okay, hang on. And immediately started to start twisting their lists. And now the Drukhari aren't doing as well immediately. But they're still really powerful. And if you learn to adapt, I think in the hands of a very adaptive player, Drukhari are going to be a top table army for a while. Which makes you worry what's going to happen to the Eldar and the Tau, the other two really, really shooty armies. Are we going to suddenly see the return of the 8th edition Tau that just blew people off the table? There was a Tau army in London at a London GT that won using current rules. I think we need to learn how to play our armies differently. I think that's going to have a lot to do with it, but I think we're going to see a resurgence of these shooty armies as it goes forward. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we're in a real interesting point because we're so early in the meta and we lost a bunch of the meta. So people have been flinging armies at the wall, seeing what sticks, and they're coming to tournaments with things that nobody's actually ever seen. So I guess we'll figure that out when it happens. But I don't know. I'm kind of bothered by the idea that every codex just means we're going to see a shift. And I know that always has been the case, but I mean, it just seems even swingier than it was before. I know other people have also been waiting to play their armies. There are some armies that need the love. I think they're also pounding down too many Imperial armies right off the bat. Chaos needs some love. We've had 1-2 Xeno army already. The Marines are such a big faction to begin with. I mean, honestly, Marines are 9 armies just off the bat. The Marines are 9 separate armies plus. So I kind of feel bad for the Sororitas because, I mean, they're getting a lot of really new cool stuff. But their codex is what, at this point? Just over a year and a half old? I mean, they're one of the newer factions to 40K as far as refresh dates go, and they're already looking at getting a new codex. And they got to because they're getting all these new units. I understand the Mechanicus. You know, that's... I've seen it argued either way, Phoenix. You can have bad dice rolls. I had certainly, against Max, I had some just incredibly bad die rolls. The amount of times I would roll triple ones or double ones when I'm only throwing 2 or 3 dice, and they all come down as ones on saves, were astounding. But then there were times when I would throw, 20 dice, and I'd come away with 15 5s and 6s in that same bunch. So I think it's getting those rolls at the critical moment. And I think it's a matter of overwhelming firepower. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people tend to forget about. They remember when their die rolls didn't save them, but how much can your die rolls save you when you're getting a bucket of dice thrown at you? I mean, that is the perfect example. That's how orcs win fights. Orcs don't win fights by being good shooters. They win fights by literally dumping a 5-gallon bucket of dice at you every shooting phase. So I kind of am on both sides of that fight there. Like I said, Sisters just got their stuff a year and a half ago. I understand they've got a lot of new units, but I mean, Tau, Eldar, Tyranids, orcs are coming, I guess, but we haven't even seen much of them. We've seen the new figures, but that's it. Chaos have been at the bottom of the trash heap for a while now. And now And now they're just getting they still haven't gotten any love. And we're talking about guys that when all the other Marines in the world have 2 wounds, they're walking around with 1. They're pretty much not playable right now. That is not a bad way to look at it, Phoenix. There are certainly people that could learn a lot from that. I look at a game like I'm going to do my best to try and win. But the problem is the person I'm playing against is trying to do the same thing. So sometimes it's dice, sometimes it's outthinking them, sometimes it's pure dumb luck. So in the end, I'm playing my figures because I enjoy them, and that's the best I can hope for. I guess that's the best anybody can really hope for. Enjoy the game for what it is. Having that large number of competitive people around, though, I got to say the camaraderie was very enjoyable. Seeing a bunch of guys that know some of them are going home with no losses, and everybody was there helping each other out, trying to build everybody up, trying to point out the good things. My poor Commodore. And Ben, competitive play isn't for everyone, and I'm the first to say it. Competitive play isn't for everyone, and that's okay. That's totally okay. I know there are some competitive players that are like casual. Whatever, man. Whatever makes you happy, If you enjoy it, play what you enjoy, man. If you enjoy whatever you dig. I mean, I dig the casual parts of the game too. It's like I said, it's one of the reasons I want to kind of keep my Age of Sigmar stuff more casual. I don't want to start tech decking it and getting it all ground down to, I got to shave 5 points here to get this. I don't want to do that with my Age of Sigmar. I kind of want to enjoy my Age of Sigmar as these are my giant knights. I charge across the table. La, 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 la. You're going to lose this game. I don't care. They look cool. We're going to have fun and play. But at the same time, even when you're not doing that, having an army absolutely myrtleized off a table is soul crushing. And Commodore, I'm not trying to point you out on this one. I'm not trying to pull you out on this one. But because I love you, man. But he had 2 really bad games. And he didn't even play his third game. He was just so beaten by his dice not doing well, and his tactics not doing well, and his chapter not doing well, and his synergies not synergizing. I mean, he was just like, ugh. And I get that. And I want to help him. A couple of us actually want to try and get because the idea of the dojo, which is what we're trying to do at Factlandia, is have like this 40K dojo where everybody helping teach everybody and helping everybody get in the mindset to play to lose, but try to win. Try to be better every game. You learn more from a loss than you do from a win, honestly. The first 2 games, I didn't take anything away from them other than they may not be so aggressive. When I lost my 3rd round, I'm like, And I've been playing parts of that game over and over in my head because I know what I did wrong. Middle-earth tournament. Now, that's cool. I have friends that are really into the whole Middle-earth thing, not just the miniatures game. I mean, they're just into Middle-earth. I kind of wish I was. Don't get me wrong. I like Middle-earth. I like the game. I like the game figures more. I want to see it played more. I'd love to see it played more. And the fact that it's competitive is kind of cool. So I definitely, when you put up some videos about that, Pig, I want to see how you did. And I want you to talk about the tournament and about the armies and how they play. And yeah, it does. It looks cool. I mean, the Treebeard, there's a Treebeard figure that I'm like, that's cool. That is absolutely the coolest. like competitive play. I like casual play. I like play. I like people playing together. We were talking about some ways that we can do some really cool. Nice, Pig. That sounds awesome. Been looking at some ways to. We were looking at some ways to get some casual narrative type games in to get people more experience playing their army, just for the purpose of getting them to play their army better. I honestly think I found my groove. I'm the first to admit that I'm terrible at teaching the game. I really am. I can teach the mechanics, but I can't play against a person and play the game because my mind immediately goes to bang, bang, shoot, kill, deal. But I'm good at teaching the actual mechanics. So until they get a codex that makes them really great, I put together a 1,000-point list that's good at teaching the basics of the game and will challenge a person, but is not going to just blow them off the table and make me laugh at them while I'm trying to teach a new person the game I'm looking forward to seeing that, Ben. I'm really looking forward to see that. I love that figure a day thing you've been doing lately. That's really, really cool. Yeah. And that kind of brings me to Underworlds, which is supposed to be. This is the funny thing that gets me. Underworlds, the way GW promotes it, it's supposed to be their super competitive Magic and miniatures game. It's supposed to be this super competitive, like almost like a hyper competitive type, like Magic the Gathering type game. They're just like, this is fun. We're gonna play like an army and just throw some cards in the thing and just play. The hell with it. And the exact opposite of the way GW is trying to promote that game is how this group is. Nobody's going through and trying to min-max their deck out to get the exact right card lay so I can just kill you with my guys. Man, I got a deck of cards. Let's play. Whatever. This is the cards they came with. I love that. I actually really, really love that. Oh. And I love the fact that there's everything in this hobby for everyone. Yeah, exactly, Ben. You're exactly right. I look at it the exact same way. I bought the deck booster thing that they put out there just to kind of see what else is in there, because there's a couple armies I don't have cards for, because I bought the easy to build kits for kit bashing. I'm like, oh, well, they got cards. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Just play the cards that came in your thing and play it. Although apparently there's a couple of them that the decks that came with them are really bad, and that's kind of disappointing. So I might look at if they're just not going to win because their deck is bad, pull a couple of their worst cards out, throw a couple of that extra pack in, just so they can kind of stay even. I wouldn't say decking anything, but just try to keep them so they can play. Like there's a group, I guess, called the Eyes of the Nine that they look really good, but apparently their deck is really awful. The booster cards that came with them are just not for them. That's bad. There you go. That would be it exactly, because they didn't come with 12 objectives. Okay, there you go. So that's cool, and that's what this will help with, because a couple of the decks we have are older armies. So cool. That's really awesome. Yeah, I really want to pick up a Dire Chasm. I know it's supposed to cycle out. Well, it's not going to cycle out, but I know they're almost done with that season, so there's going to be a new box set probably in like 6 months to 8 months. I want to get it before it cycles out. I'm going to get it before it cycles out. And then Ben's painted 2 of the armies in there, and they're really good. I also want to try and find... They did a thing, they're completely unnecessary to the game, but they created these plastic pieces that sit on the squares that aren't passable to make it more of a 3D thing. I bought them for for Beastgrave. Apparently there's a set for the first box, which I have, but I don't have the pieces. I want to see if I can find the pieces somewhere. They haven't released one for Dire Chasm yet. I've also seen they've got map packs, so you can use different maps, which sounds cool to me. Just let's play something different. I like the idea of the game. I like the idea of it just being like a fun 20-minute. It's a 20-minute to half-hour game at most. You play 5 figures, you run around, you do some objectives, and you win, or you lose, and that's it. You could probably, if you sat down, because we're not playing it hyper competitively, if we were just have a let's play Underworlds night, you could probably get 7 or 8 games in just a couple hours. It's not a complicated game. It's not a hard game, but it's fun. It's kind of silly and fun. So, except for the Beastmen. That Beastmen army's gross. It's broken. I say that because the first time I faced the Beastman, we were just playing with half the decks, and he didn't know, so he had mixed in all of his decks, so he was like whooping everybody's butts. Like, oh, you got all these extra objectives. And like, oh, well, yeah, I mixed my decks together. Thanks. Yeah. They also had a brand new starter box come out for that with 2 more new armies that are really cool. I like the idea that they just got these little cheap games that they can just... I mean, if you don't want to buy a starter, but you got a friend with a starter, you can drop $35, and boom, you have an army. And that's all you ever need. You got an army, and you can go. It's fun. People in my social group and the people in my gaming group, they're starting to play Adeptus Titanicus. I don't know how to feel about that. Tech Noir tells me it plays like a ship battle game, and I love ship games. I love ship battles. But, and they're beautiful figures. I just don't want to dump a bunch of money into another game when I've already got so much dumped into 40K, and I love 40K. I mean, I'm kind of like all in on 40K at this point. I got some projects coming down the line that I'm actually kind of looking forward to share with the group. Along with the finishing of my Imperial Bastion, or my Imperial Citadel, I should say, I actually have some other 40K projects coming up. And I want to get to my Tau, and I want to do some Tau terrain to go with them. Now that things are opening up, and people are going to start having miniatures days, and we're going to start seeing armies on parade again. Time to start thinking about, what do I put out there? What do I put together? What do I build? So, good thinking. Now, I am cutting the show a little early tonight. As you notice, Lady D is not with me tonight. She is... not feeling very well. And unfortunately, unknowingly, the person who made her dinner she can't eat because of some food allergies. So, as the one person home tonight that has a driver's license and is not laid up in bed on drugs, I got to go get something to feed my wife. So... and I've been noticing lately that the shorter format actually works out well. I don't run out of gas that last half hour. I'm trying to, what do I have left to talk about? I've gone through my checklist and I've gone through it all. So I kind of like the more hyper chatty, let's talk about stuff and get moving on, and an hour-long show, and rather than an hour and a half. So we might test it out for a couple weeks and see how that goes too. So that being said, As we wrap up tonight, I want to give a big shout out to you guys, my community. 11 people watching tonight. I appreciate all of you coming and watching my show. I know it's not much. I'm not a big name channel. I'm not some titan in the industry. I've got 650 subscribers, but I think I give the average Joe's perspective on a hobby that's supposed to be an elitist type hobby. Although I could tell you, I look at the people I play with and the people I know and the people I hang out with, and we are honestly that, just a bunch of average Joes trying to have some fun. That's not the same old, vapid television, music, culture, blah, 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 that we're doing stuff where we're being creative and we're thinking and we're playing and we're interacting. And it doesn't mean that we have to get blitzed and drunk. Hey, Gamers with Coffee, good to see you. Hey, nice to see you in there, folks. So that being said, we're going to wrap up for the night. I've got a bunch of building to do, and I've got a wife to take care of. So that being said, big shout out to all my patrons. We've got our Battle Brother tier patrons. We've got Inquisitor Zane and the amazing... Why am I blanking on this? I'm so tired. I haven't eaten enough today. And Mini Warm Mutt, my buddy Mini Warm Mutt, Brian. I haven't seen you in a bit. I miss you. We've got our $3 patrons. We've got Greg Tesh. We've got Joe Bookish. We've got Mithros Kushranada. And we have Hellworks by Hellchild. And lastly, we have our top tier, our big name, big dollar, big love from the channel, our Warlord tier patrons in Flight of the Phoenix and the Commodore. Thank you guys so much. You make it possible for me to do the things I do, help me buy supplies, help me build projects, and help me do what I do so that I can share my love and my joy of this hobby with all of you. So... I appreciate y'all, and I will talk to you real soon.